little bit different, just because I'm probably going to be going a bit quicker through this one, but we're also just mostly going to be talking about sort of the way that the pro teams have addressed the new 2-2-2 meta, right? The idea being that, well, they've now had the first day of play. You can see this is a Twitch VOD. I can't use the replay viewer because it's still got the week delay. So I have no like good way of panning the camera around or anything like that. We're kind of stuck with the viewpoint that we've got, but it's going to be more than enough for us to start talking about how the pros are adapting to 2-2-2, what they're doing with 2-2-2, what they're adapting to the sort of the meta that we've seen from the ladder as well, and how that's changed for the pro level. Sort of the adaptations they're making to turn the ladder meta into the pro meta, and why that might not actually translate onto ladder very well as well. So we're going to be starting out with Paris versus Houston. This was a series that I really wanted to watch, but I could not stay up and watch it because it was just too hot. It was just too hot. Probably, yeah, oh, the Korean World Cup team. I mean, no matter what they do, they're going to get flack. But Profit, I don't know. Profit seems like a weird omission to me. Yeah, last night I could not stay up to watch Overwatch League. It was just too hot. It's like the hottest day on record yesterday in the UK. Today it's a lot better. Today, like, I've still gone without the hat, so you're going to see my great big pill-shaped head. This massive brain up here. But, the hat's a bit too much. Just can't do it. I just melt. I would just melt. Right, let's skip our way forward. So I was very curious when I woke up to like go and see what the pros were doing, because hey, like, I'm sure there's going to be some cool things happening, and lo and behold, there are some cool things happening, and I think Houston frigged up as well, if you ask me, in some of the decisions. But to be honest, they're still experimenting as well. The first thing you'll notice, and this is going to be sort of one of the big talking points throughout this entire video, is going to be the May. We are going to see a huge prevalence of May. A lot of May, and this is really, really clever. We'll see why and how it works as we go. But yeah, I really like the May here. Cruz also opening up on the Brigitte. I don't think that's insane, but I'm not a huge fan of it myself. Just to try and deal with, if you're playing Houston and they're playing Dante, if they're playing Dante, you can expect a Tracer, basically. So, something to be scared of, right, is this Sombra Tracer combo. So Houston going for a much more aggressive like dive style play, while Paris going for a more typical thing that you'd see kind of out of the ladder, but with Soon on the Sombra. It does leave Paris like very, very, if we just take a moment just to look and think about the team comps, where do Paris win? How do Paris win? Well, Paris win by not dying to the dive, which I know sounds like an obvious statement to make, but it's like Houston want to dive in and maybe kill Gray, or, try and get a pick on someone. It's probably just going to be Gray, who's like the only one they can really focus down. Maybe if they get a hack on Cruz or Fincy or Cloudy, they can do it. But they're going to want to get that happening, and so if Paris just endure the hack for a moment or two, then the freeze can start taking over. These two can start doing damage. Cruz could stun someone, kill someone. There's a lot of sort of ways to fight their way out of a dive for Paris, so Paris should be somewhat dive resistant unless Houston get momentum. When Houston get momentum, it's going to be very difficult for Paris to do anything. Otherwise, Paris are going to mostly be looking for like hook halt, which isn't really going to be super reliable against this team comp, and maybe trying to freeze some people. So there you see the hack onto Gray, and that's textbook clean dive. But you can see like the counter punch is pretty intense. Great anti-nade, actually, from Raucous, setting that up as well to actually sort of convert into more than just what it was. Bubble there is really nicely placed as well. That's where I wish we had Cruz's perspective, because Cruz can't get the health pack onto him. If Cruz got the health pack onto him, like, it could be very different. And this is sort of what I mean by survive the dive. You can see how low Muma is already. If Gray gets this health pack off the Brig, then suddenly Muma's probably going to die. They're in a lot of trouble. And they still lose Muma. But this is the danger of playing against like Tracer Sombra, is that especially the Tracer can just kind of spin out of control very quickly. Like, there is not one of these heroes that Tracer is going to have trouble 1v1ing except maybe Brig, but if it's like a pure 1v1, then Tracer can kill Brig as well. This is also a cool thing for Houston. They are very agile, very mobile. So they managed to take the point first. Paris are kind of springing back a little bit. Like, Shadowburn got that right click onto Dante, killed him. Okay, now's time for us to do stuff. Let's get onto the point. And Houston they can just kind of stall the point really nicely. They can stall the point very nicely indeed. Early win condition for Houston, of course. Less true for Paris, where you have the ability to nano something. You can just nano Moomba, throw him in. See if you can get some early kills off that as well. But you can see that it's like, for the comp that Paris are playing, they're having a very difficult time dislodging Houston. And like they're getting kills, still not flipped it. And Shadowburn's ultimate here isn't going to be like huge. As you can see, it's just kind of a zoning ult. Still haven't flipped it. Still no Flipperino. Still no Flipperino. Oh. Still no Flipperino. That's just because Houston are so, like, it's so difficult for Paris' team comp to lock down Houston and get clean kills. Like, how do you do that? Where do you find those kills? Just kind of curious to see, like, they want to engage, I'm guessing, because they've used the Brig ult. By the way, I apologize as well if you can hear, like, a background noise. That's my fan. I need that on, or I die. Right. I have one. It's good. It's nice to have a fan. So, yeah, they've used the rally, and they want to engage hard, but here's the downside, right? Houston can just run away. Like, you've got Hogorisa on the point, but as long as Houston don't let it flip, they don't really care, I think. They just don't give a heck. Like, they're fine with this situation. And the nice thing here is that Jake has people he can EMP. It feels like Soon doesn't quite have that luxury. So they backed off for the nano. Moomba does have to give some respect here. Like, playing into May Sombra for a Winston, that's going to be frustrating, to say the least. So you can see just how few hacks she gives. So Soon gets one hell of an EMP. Jake also EMP? Did they do it at the same time? Pretty much at the same time. The weird part to me is, because I saw this, I was like, oh, wow, Soon managed to get Jake, and so Jake can't EMP. But no, he actually gets his EMP off, but he gets hacked. Soon doesn't get hacked, which is interesting. Don't quite know what happened there exactly. It's like the EMP lands, Houston are committed to the dive. Okay, great, we've got it. And like, if Shadowburn's having a hard time finishing people off, it's why I don't trust Maze on ladder. And like, one of the things I wanted to do was contrast what you see on ladder and what you'll see in a pro level game. And like, Shadowburn got a good early kill onto the Tracer, and he's generally been like quite a good preventative measure. I think, like, my only question with Paris is like, do you need May and Brig? But it seems to be working okay for them. That's Tracer. That was just greedy out of Soon, I think. Like, you don't see his translocator, but jeez. Feels like people, you know, it's like watching Tracer is just like, oh right, yeah, she kills the hell out of people. But this is also, like, the counterpoint is also true for Paris, where Houston can clean this up. Like, they can kill everything if they start getting momentum, but Paris have a lot of ways to slow them down in doing that, right? Especially when you have Rally and Blizzard. It's just so difficult to finish everybody off because there's so many safe areas to be. Nano Diva, probably not going to do much. Fincy! Fincy! He's fine. Not even scared. Like, this is an immovable object of a comp, right? With a Sombra splashed into it. And very similar to, like, the first engagement to me. Like, they've got to get Grey somehow. Once they get Grey, they can kind of start pulling apart the enemy comp a little bit, but Grey's kind of the only person they can actually focus down. And I think as long as Cruz doesn't flub his heal, it's going to be tough. Or that happens. Oh, I remember this actually. Raucus gets a really nice snipe, like, across the map and just catches Soon off guard with it. No EMP, But again, I don't think Paris... Like, is this a big deal for Paris? I mean, it's a big deal, but is it game-winning? So there's the dive on Grey. Oh no! Oh no! Shadowburn! Oh god! Oh, you hate to see it. It's just like, who put this wall here? Why is there a wall here? May, you bitch! Oh no! Oh no! And Tracer does Tracer things. Oh, and at that point, Grey stood up from his PC, walked over, and slapped Shadowburn. Can you imagine? It's brutal. So yeah, is this the Raucous snipe? Oh, there we go. It's like, nice, nice. Pop. Easy. That's all you need. Honestly, that is kind of all you need. Like, you just need to catch the Sombra off guard slightly, right? You just need to give her a little bit of a surprise. So, very similar for Paris, just with one important adaptation. Soon on the Widowmaker. Soon's Widow is phenomenal. This map used to be like a very Widow-centric map as well. Basically, you can kind of just rotate around it with the Widowmaker, just keeping sight lines like across the entire thing. But with Houston playing like this very high aggro dive comp, it's going to be interesting. One thing that does fascinate me is Raucous on the brig. Maybe they're anticipating a Tracer on the opposite side. But you can see like the dive just instantly, like Sombra Tracer onto Soon. And if Soon's isolated like this, he's just going to die. So Soon is suddenly like way more limited in what he can do on the Widow. So it's no surprise to see him change off it, because it just means that if he wants to play Widow in this team comp, he'd just have to sit in the team, and at that point he might as well play McCree or something. Or you might as well just play Sombra and just look for hacks on stuff. Very close for Jake there. Honestly, like, it's weird to see that Jake, he was hacked. Ah, that explains it. That's why there's so much pressure going on him. Oh, the grenade misses. That's a pity. Hacked May can be killed. At least she is mortal. But a lot of good healing coming out of Grey, actually. Cruz is going to die, though. Oh, there he goes. It's honestly interesting to see, like, Cruz go so low. What happened to you, Cruz? Where are you? It's just getting whittled down. Like, Diana's in full panic mode trying to heal Shadowburn up, and then Cruz just gets picked off. Like, one thing I'm curious about is if Houston fall behind, it's going to be so difficult for them to get back in because they don't have the Nano Monkey. Like, they're going to purely have EMP and Pulse Bomb to try and, like, rely on, which, not bad. Rally can kind of be a nice engagement tool. Oh, boy. You got to watch those walls. Paris, get on the point again. There's the stick on Cruz. Bold to do, but works. Why not? And then EMP for the finish. Yep. Oh, that's a shame that they used the Blizzard. They might have needed that. I could use Grey Nano here. Look, if you're Grey, what do you do? I think you use it for a safety. Because you can't even, like, Nano Whole Hog, and even if you do, the enemy team just runs away. Soon as trying to, like, lay a trap. So again, move on to the point. Like, very clear objective. Get on point. Almost get the hack on Dante. Playing very patiently, but... I don't know, it's working. Like, they haven't EMP'd yet. Like, it's like they're intentionally just holding it so that Boink can't do anything. You know, they're like doing a mind game with it. The plan seems pretty straightforward for Paris. It's just like get Roadhog, Orisa, May onto the point with Cruz there as well. Try and get Grey a little bit behind them, but still pretty close. And then just have Soon like almost just holding the right mouse button while looking at Grey. Or just looking at people. Like, all he's doing is staying near the team trying to like get hacks on Dante and Jake. And if they get the hack on either of them, they kind of just win. And once they get into this corner, and like this is kind of a cool corner as well, like they're just playing here, you notice, they're using this thing, setting up here, and then just moving into this, saying, hey, come fight us, brass, and then playing from there. Pretty cool. And as a result, they still have EMP in hand. The hard part here is Paris can't really play at the choke. They have to stay playing here. Like, they can kind of play here, I guess. Sure. But I don't know how they are... Like, how would you handle just having, like, Sombra and Tracer going to the point with this team comp? Because you can't, like, split. That's not going to work very well. Like, it feels like Houston haven't quite realized that weakness, because like Tracer and Sombra both come out on the high ground into the enemy team and then start fighting, and I don't think that's how Houston win this series or win this game. Alright, like, you don't want to fight the enemy team here. It's like you want to push them onto the point and then do a proper initiate. And you pull them onto the point by using your Sombra and your Tracer to get to the point, and then have them come back to try and send something to deal with it. There's the EMP. Sombra has to get, Tracer has to get out. Nice. So they have Blizzard, they have Rally, which should keep them actually pretty safe. Danger is they get EMP'd. They don't really have like great answers to that. I'm actually really fine with the early Rally out of Cruz here. Really fine with the early Rally out of Cruz here, because like, you are just waiting for that EMP now. So just the moment you see the enemy team doing anything, just fire it off. Super aggro start out of Houston, this time using ultimates. And they get Cloudy for it. Which, honestly, that might just be enough. Like, yeah, that's just enough. Like, Shadowburn didn't even get a chance to Blizzard. Which makes sense with these team comps. Anyone even want to get back? No. That's what I remember. So, first map, and I was watching this, and I was like, oh no, Paris, it's happening again. No, Paris. Not my Paris, boys. I like Paris, I'm a fan of Paris, I'm biased. Yeah, assault map changes. Honestly, like, as optimistic as I was by these changes, this one, like, is nice. Where point A gives you 3 minutes instead of 4 minutes, it just makes 2CP less of a chore. But this change, I have felt very minimally. I really haven't felt this change much. Like, the distance to point A is often still so long that it still does not feel worth it. It just feels like you're throwing alt charge away. But Paris gonna be like sticking with this May, which, you know, I found really cool as like an adaptation, because dive is gonna be less effective on this map. The sightlines are kind of long. Generally, we saw snipers being favored on Volskaya. Even like during the GOATS meta, there were still teams trying to make snipers work on this map. Like, snipers were very big on this map. And the May starts to shine here because, hey, we've got Hog Diva. Well, we've got Orisa Diva versus Hog Orisa. Hey,
Happy
Rocket.
free lads and lasses.
Happy Friday. Friday, I get it. Free eat. Happy Friday. Indeed to you as well, Roka. Thank you for the 19 months. Good start for Linkser, but this is why you have mercies. You can get the rares. Oh look, Soon does Soon things. So the reason why you have the May is because she makes you win barrier wars. Like, it's a big part of, like, she stops pushes, she wins you barrier wars, and she can mess up enemy team combos. She's very difficult to combo herself. She's quite survivable. She's good against Roadhog. She's good against Orisa. She's good against just like a lot of what these Hog Reeses play around. So, like, what you'll see is, like, the Orisa will set up a barrier. They'll do a bunch of damage into it, and when their barrier is low, they just put up a May wall, refresh their barrier, they can drop it at their leisure, and it acts as like a good gap for when, like, oh, well, our Orisa's barrier is down, we can then put up a May wall and just block it off, and we can control the choke still. Makes it even harder to push into, right? While still not being a huge slouch on doing damage yourself. So you lose the damage and the DPS of the Hanzo, but you gain instead the ability to do stuff like this, where you can split the Orisa off if necessary. You could split their team a little bit as well, break the barrier and then kill it. Your barrier is a little bit safer because, hey, you got a May wall. They want to push through a choke, but you have a you have Blizzard, for example. Or while keeping hook hog combos, the traps and the choke. It's really cool. I think it's a really nice adaptation that, like, oh, well, we can have this May as like a defensive tool instead of having like aggressive barrier damage. We'll instead use the May defensively and block damage that way. I also think the D.Va is a very bold choice from Houston.
Welcome to
I don't think it's possible to catch what you need to catch with D.Va these days. Hey, Bacon Scented Soap as well. Thank you so much. Your bacony presence is always welcome. Again, Mooma does a Mooma. And they nano the Orisa. Dragon Strike gonna be fairly effective against this team comp. You can see that like everyone just has to give ground and respect it and back away. So they lose their supercharge. Almost get it. The Maywall might have actually cucked him. Oh my god, Shadowburn! Shadowburn! Like, he's killed Jake. Jake is dead. Nope. Denied. And this is why I started the intro by saying, like, these tactics might not translate well onto ladder. Like, if you are a May player and you're good at May, maybe you can make it work. Maybe. But you will probably flub it up more times than you'll be helpful. Basically. Like, it is so difficult to get May 100% correct, and like one bad wall can just, not only does it like lose you kills, but it will also tilt you 6 ways from Sunday. Moon was isolated, there's not much you can do, just wait out the fortify, freeze him, kill him, stalled, easy peasy. I want to talk about this hold a little bit, because like it feels like they're breaking, but I think Houston just run out of steam. Like, to get here, they've had to use Nano. They're using the Valkyrie right now. Linkser has got very, very little. Like, Soon and Linkser have been pretty quiet, which honestly I think is good for Soon, because the way that you divide up Volskaya and the way that you play Volskaya with double sniper is you generally like want to get to like this corner, and then you can have like Widow pressuring one side, and you can have Hanzo coming with the team, and you can sort of set up like these overlapping fields of fire and push their Widowmaker out or push their snipers out, and control a lot of space like that. Houston have only just got to this corner to actually be able to control that space. They've just been firing and firing and firing and firing into the choke point until then. They've barely been able to get through. It's like uncommon to see teams hold that first choke, but because you've got the May, you can do it. And that's really cool. And it's like by the time they get here, like they've got Jake in a good position. I have no idea where Linkser is. Linkser's dying too soon. You can see that they can't just like break the hard point anymore. They're like running out of stuff. They're using Bongo now, but Whole Hog just pressures them out. And the offense on this map, I'm really looking forward to talking to, because I think Paris play it so cleverly. So let's skip forward because we already covered this. So as soon as Infrasight links it doesn't, it's basically going to be a free 14 seconds of Soon dominating. This is a scary Frenchman. They're playing very defensively, but he needs to because he's got 2 enemy snipers to do. Oh no, not anymore. He's got a dive to deal with. Like Houston realizing their strategy isn't working, changing it up completely. This is a terrible swap. I think Monty even mentions it being a terrible terrible swap, which is like, why are you swapping to Sombra in the last 40 seconds? You are not getting an EMP. So the only value you can try and get is if you can get a hack on someone. Difficult. Difficult to do. Especially now that Soon has Infrasight up as well. Nano Winston, always a good tool, but hey, they don't keep the pressure up, so Cruz gets value. May can also really like cause problems for the Nano Winston, which again is another benefit to having that May pick, because you just freeze the Winston, and what can he do? There's a Winston hiding in the back line. It's like, we know he's somewhere. Oh my god! Oh my god! I mean, they got a hack on Fincy, but... yeah. Yeah. And here's the thing, like, I think the Sombra... like, I think an EMP would really mess this comp up that Paris are running. Like, if you realize that, oh, they're running this strat, and you just pick Sombra early, I'd be very curious to see how Paris adapt, because the power of the Paris comp at the moment is, oh, we all stick together, we all are one big lump, you can't fight into us as well as we can push you back, therefore we win. Because Maywall is just so good at like stalling up these battles, and we can cut off your Orisa if necessary and get pressure on them like that. It's really cool. And for some reason they take a 2-minute break. There we go. Maybe it's for commercials for ESPN and Disney XD. LOL XD. I love Paris' team comp here. I love how they played this. I thought this was goddamn genius. Cruz is going to stay on this Baptiste. Okay, so Houston playing like this is what I would say like an old school, relatively standard. Hey, Trickster TC, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. 11 months, good lord. So yeah, this is like, I wouldn't call it super standard. You know, normally you see like a Winston maybe instead of the Orisa, but I could see this being the new standard. Honestly, I'm surprised that they're playing the Orisa with this. Maybe just to try and stop this. But the Baptiste, I think, is so smart. Is so smart on this. And they do such cool things with it. So, let's see. Whoa! Scary. So Houston not playing this, so Paris going to just use the Immortality field to get through the choke, and just to survive a little bit. Cruz is just building ult charge. Like, look how much he's got. Nice early kill. Okay, start pushing forward. Okay, Soon's dead. Might want to take a moment or two. You know, you got the ground, but we'll see. Okay, pushing them off the high ground a little bit. Trying to get Dragon Strike, perhaps. You know, you want to get that nice and early. It's pressure, 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 pressure. Just poking, 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 poking. Dip a toe on the point. Say, hey, Houston, come deal with us. You've got to fight us on the point. And then it is the split second Muma drops a barrier on the point. Alright, so Muma drops down, drops the barrier. Instantly, Cruz reacts. Puts this field up. And just watch Houston melt. Just look how quickly Muma dies. And it's literally just like, we want to force you to go to the point. The second you drop your barrier, we activate the Baptiste field, we fire everything through it, blow your barrier up in a second, kill your Orisa in a second. Gone. Gone. How do you defend now? You don't have a barrier. We have 2 snipers now. They res Muma. This field is still up. Muma is just going to die. And like Fincy's doing this flanking stuff as well and causing problems, but I saw that and I just went, holy hell, that was cool. Because if they have a Baptiste and you don't, you cannot win that barrier war when they have that extra damage. You just can't. It was so cool to see, and I was just like, oh my god, that worked so well. Because if you drop a barrier and they drop a barrier about the same time and you put up that field, you just blow their barrier up instantly. And then you can just kill whatever's behind it. And I thought, holy shit, like they have tailor-made that strategy to just break comps straight away. And yeah, I could see it working against Bunker as well. Like, even if they have like a Bastion shooting through it, as long as they don't have their own Baptiste who can kind of do the same thing to you, an Immortality field might cause some problems, you can just blow them up. And especially if they are playing something like, you know, Ana Mercy for like a double sniper, there's no way you're healing through it. And you can't even go and you can't even get a res properly. I'm surprised they res Muma because big square of death, right? Been trying to find a Widow main. Are you a Widow main? No. I'd love to be a Widow main, but alas, I do not have the balls. I could see good Baptiste making it work. The issue with getting it to work on ladder, like I think this is one of the strategies that could work on ladder. Also, Monty rocking the Obi-Wan Kenobi look, or the bathrobe. I don't know. It's quite a jacket. I don't mind the jacket too much. I don't think you pair it with this shirt. So you should take high ground. Yeah, Monty's preaching the high ground strats. You can make it work on ladder as long as your team's clumped up and you just drop the field. Like you just wait for their Orisa to drop the barrier, put your field up, and then shoot. He looks like a Jedi cosplay. Yeah, I don't know. He needs something. He needs something like around his neck, maybe like a necklace or something. But that's just not Monty's style. Paris again, teasing the double snipes. I mean, the nice thing about Houston is if they're playing Coolmat, you know they're probably playing Diva. And you know if they're playing Linkser, they're probably playing Widow. So that's a nice little perk for them. But because, you know, Blizzworld is a lot more open, it's a lot bigger, Soon and Linkser especially going to have a lot more space to breathe. A lot more space to breathe. But straight away, Paris swap. They get the Baptiste instead. Use it to gain ground, use it to take some space, and are probably going to want to do the same thing. Like say, hey, Orisa, you want to drop a barrier while I have Baptiste ult? We're just going to kill you. The downside is, I mean, even if Cruz was on Mercy, he'd still, you know, be in trouble. So it's not too big of a big deal, but a lot of this is going to be dictated by the snipers. Isn't it nice where like the individual skills and positioning of individual players will actually make a difference on the game? So notice the Orisa Fortify bug. If you fortify while getting pulled, you just like retain ridiculous momentum. Beauty of a shot. Counter by Jake. Lol, Hanzo. Perfect. But yeah, like this is where Hanzo Dragon Strike is just so good. Paris playing very clustered, very clumped comps, going to be problematic. Are they ever going to fix it? I think it's just a quirk of how Fortify works. Like, Fortify stops changes to your momentum and speed, and I think what's happening is, as you get pulled towards the halt, you have like a fixed speed that like pulls you and stops you. But the stop never comes because Fortify cancels the stop, so it's just like, oh, well, you just now have this force that's just pushing you up. Does that make sense? This like I don't know, something tickles me so deeply about just watching this shitty little griffin just, hello, hello, I'm here, I'm in the way. It seems just like, get out the way, get out the way, I need to shoot the people. Ah, I love that griffin. And somehow he finds Cool Matt. Like, it feels like Houston are just giving them too much room. I guess I have to respect it because Infrasight's up, Link's 98. No, gross. Links are just not quite there. Because what's happened now is, well, Soon can like go out this way. Shadowburn can just go out like this way, on this side of the wall, push everyone back, and then Houston are kind of just trapped. Like, there's no way to break out of that. Cruz goes back to the Widow. They abandon the Baptiste, which I think is a shame, but it pairs so well with Widow, why not? Nano boost goes on to Mercy? I wish they had an icon to see who was nanoed. Oh no, okay, it's on Muma. Jesus. Oh, phew. It's like, why does Mercy look like she's nanoed? Oh wait, no, it's Muma. Okay. Still kind of like a shitty situation. Like, this is where the Ana feels a little bit... Yeah? Like, this is so dangerous now. You just have Shadowburn free farm in your team. And hey, look, Zenyatta, he's a good hero. With a good ultimate. Like, even though they're behind a little bit, you just make everything safe. Zen Mercy. Not a team comp I would ever try and run myself. It's a bold one. Though, with Double Sniper, I don't mind it too much. Especially with, like, Orisas and Roadhogs and Divas involved. Because the issue with Double Sniper, and especially, like, Double Sniper into Hog Risa, is, like, healing output is not... You don't win and lose that game by your supports, let's put it that way. You know, your supports aren't... They can't heal you getting headshot and blown up from across the map, so... The Mercy makes sense in that regard. The Zen gives you a nice safety with the ultimate, and then you can, like, pressure extremely hard on the tanks when you get opportunities to do so. So all of this is going to be about controlling sightlines in space. And, like, Houston are doing a good job here of just closing this off. The May strategy won't work here because there's just, like, too many angles to cover. It's just way too open for May to function, so sticking to the Hanzo, I like it. Fincy's playing, like, a very, like, Harblue style, and it's really working. It's actually really kind of interesting to see. Because it's kind of like, well, we're not actually that interested in finding the barrier war, and, like, we're not setting up... Like, this is not how you do this combo, right? Generally you have the Hog and Orisa in the same place, but because you've got the Zen Discord Orb to help out as well, you can actually just put on a lot of pressure on stuff, and they get it. And just have the Roadhog roaming is so cool. Now, this is the pain of Widow versus Orisa. Oh! Oh! Sniper battles. I love it. I love it. Oh! Oh! Look, exciting heroes. Making differences. Oh! Jeez. It's actually fun to watch. Look at this. Bosh! Hit by 2 people. Poked his nose out of the wrong place there, son. This is Paris territory. They now control the sightlines. At least looking at the res. Notice that Fincy's being a lot more restrained now. Like, he can't really do much in this big open space. But as I imagine they get to here, maybe he can start being annoying where possible. They've got no Fortify anymore as well, so there it is. And Zen ult to finish, pressure the tanks. Like, the moment they get an advantage on the tanks, the moment they sense, yeah, we can beat the tanks, I can see you just going, yeah, just fire the trance. Like, just do it. Do it. Pop. Nice. Clean them up. Hanzo's E still one shot to Reese. Oh no, guys! He'll only have 5 shots now! Clearly, he's a dead hero. Fincy doing something that every Roadhog needs to learn to do. Like, especially in a situation like this, right? The halt comes through. First thing he does is he activates his take a breather and then body blocks. And I know it's like Soon wants to fire shots here as well, but it's the safest thing to do. It just makes sure that Soon is not going to die. Waiting patiently. Notice they've gone back to the May. Now they've gone to a small area, the May's come back out instead of the Hanzo. Like, I wonder if they've mathed it out. I'd be very curious to see on, like... I imagine you could do just a couple of very simple tests on, like, what can break barriers better. Because what you effectively have here is two sides of the same... of a conflict. Like, you've got an idea, right? You've got, like, offense versus defense here. Because most components are the same, right? You've got the Orisa, Hog... as like the foundation. You have a Widow who's kind of just roaming. Can't write Widow apparently. But then on one side you have the Hanzo who can do a ton of barrier damage. I almost spelled Hanzo with a backwards N for some reason. And then on the other side you have May, who does a lot less damage. Like, she doesn't have Storm Arrow, so she can't like do, what is it, like 540 damage or whatever it is, insane number. Super quickly. She instead has these slow right clicks that, you know, 80 damage a shot, isn't it? It's like 75 or 80 damage a shot. It's pretty good, but it's not like stop the presses. But she has the walls, and the walls give you that extra like time and period of safety, as well as giving you a threat that, you know, Roadhog and Orisa can't really deal with super well, because if you freeze them, they're stuck. Like, they literally just die. They're very reliant on like actives, and Orisa can fortify it, but all she can do is like waddle away from the May, and the May moves at the same speed, so good luck. And I just wonder, like, if they figured it out of like, well, if we just play the May instead, we can just win these barrier wars, because now you have to deal with the May wall on top of our barriers. This is kind of why, like, watching this series actually made me very excited for Sigma as well. Because Sigma as an off-tank can do the same thing that the May is doing here. You can have that barrier available, and then just bring it down when Orisa's barrier is up. Also, Fincy doing a great job Shadowburn doing a great job playing, like, protectively there. Like, he's playing like a third off-tank. Or like a second off-tank. It's really cool. And I think especially once you get to this room, I would be feeling pretty good if I was Paris and I got to here, because this is where Blizzard will actually start being effective. And like, Blizzard is very good at closing out maps and closing out points. May's probably better because she can give you another layer of barrier and some utility. Maybe. I think, yeah, honestly, because you only have the 2 tank slots, I'd still probably run the Roadhog. Just because halt pull is so strong. You notice Houston sort of going, yep, we'll do the same. Ew, that's a very forward barrier. Soon, oh god. Look, we're not playing Goat. Soon can split from his team and do this again. Look at this. He's playing Widowmaker and he's in your spawn. Almost gets it. Almost gets it. Ah. Ah. That crazy Frenchman. What a lad. Oh, Lynx, what are you doing? I love the moment that Coolmat realizes he fucked up as well. It's just like, I'm gonna ho, but Shadowburn's already ulted. It's already there. He's like, run! Oh! Oh no! Ah! Ah! And then they can get the wall in afterwards. Like, Blizzard is such a good ultimate. Just call Matt's bad day. I did see that they buffed Sigma. I like it. I would like to see like a layer of armor applied to him as well. Just because armor is so good, and hey, look, Blizzard, good ultimate. Just because armor is so good at mitigating like a lot of sources of damage, it just makes you way more durable than it seems. This is nuts. Like this is why I'm so glad to see us not play goats anymore. Because if this was goats, this fight will be completely over. But because we have exciting heroes now, where Soon can actually kill people, and actually, you know, people die, there's actually, like, this actually feels tense. Fortunately, yeah, Hammond joins us, and you got May Widow trying to kill a Hammond, which is going to be tough. But look, reinforcements going to arrive in time. Oh, maybe they can do it. Maybe. Maybe. So close. Like, if this was goats, there'd just be a wall of tanks and healers plonked on the point. But now, look. Look. People can die. People can die. Reinforcements can get there and people can die. And you can actually have this resolve into something interesting. Isn't that cool? Maybe they'll worry with 2 damage mitigation abilities. Armor will be too much. Maybe. I just, like, he's got the layer of shields on him, but honestly, as good as shields are, in current Sombra existent meta, they feel like a liability. Excuse me. Forward, forward, forward. Forward, 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 forward. Oh. Oh, God. It's beautiful to see. It's like poetry in motion. So Paris starting out with the May. I guess it kind of does make sense, like this is still a relatively narrow area. They're going May Hanzo. Interesting. With the Baptiste. So they probably want to do the Baptiste break. I like that. The Baptiste break. They want to do a Baptiste break. I remember this soon. Oh, God, he gets halted. Heartbreaking. A halt hook, man. It's a good combo. And because he got a freeze there as well, it's a real good combo. Oh, boy. Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. They land that and you are just donezo. So I'm curious, like, because Paris have a May, I think the Baptiste break will be a little bit more difficult to do. Like, the moment they put that barret, like, the damage wall up, you can just wall it off, and it's going to break extremely fast. Like, your May wall is going to go very quickly. But it's not going to be as, like, effective. Although May wall is now down. Soon almost has his ult, which will be a big ult. Oh, that nade. That's dirty. And they've blizzarded. Houston just not executing. Like, Houston are just stuck. I mean, Paris used a lot there. Like, they nanoed May as well. That's what, nano onto the May, just to keep Shadowburn up and running. And then Blizzard. It's actually not as much as I thought. Like, it is still a fair commit of resources, but... So what I want to see is, like... I don't like that at all. That's completely wrong. Still kind of worked. Not as effective as it could have been. The reason why I don't like this one compared to how Paris did it is just because like they engaged using it. And so Paris just run. And they get some, and like you can see how fast the May wall dies, and honestly I think Paris just didn't respect it, that the May wall is going to explode. But when they do kind of realize that, oh god, this is actually like, we need to be careful about this, they just hide behind the wall and you don't really gain anything. Like, the difference between what Paris did on Volskaya and what Houston just did was, Houston did it off the point, so it's just a lot, like, Paris have room to back off. Paris don't have to stay there, they can just back away. And Paris did it immediately after Muma dropped a barrier. Like, they baited Muma, or they made Muma, forced Muma into dropping a barrier. Then they used the Baptise ult, and then they killed the barrier and killed him. Very different ways of using that ultimate. Rather than Boink, who just initiated with it, and as an initiation tool, I'm not as keen. They want to do it. Might get it, no. Again, that ult usage just isn't right. It's just not on point at all. Like, this doesn't... Like, the issue with throwing the May ult into the barrier is that it's just, they can just leave. Like, there's so many people so far back. It just felt rushed. I like how they don't even care about the bongo. They're just killing everybody. Lol. Oh, Finzi almost, like, because remember, Finzi can't see, like, this health bar peeking out. God, imagine if he could. It's right there. It's right there. Oh, they're in for sight. They know. They know. They know. Oh, close. Ooh, Hammond. You know that they've gotten desperate now. Playing Hammond into a May. Shadowburn even cancels out like the Baptiste ult. They just take it over. Clean. Clean out of Paris. Houston executing badly. Very badly. Houston looking like old Houston. Not like newer, shinier, fresher Houston. Oh. Definitely a sniper map. Not going to see the May on this one, it's way too open. Oh! Oh! Soon is just taken over. This bodes well for the UK's World Cup chances. If we please stay in a Widow meta. I live in a country where KSP exists. Please, please stay in a Widow meta. Whoa, whoa. At these points I despise Widow. I'm so curious as to why. Like, to get this good to be able to do this reliably and consistently enough to justify doing it at a level where one tiny mistake will cost you everything. This is a pure display of skill to me. Alright, picking these targets out and just taking space like this is as pure a display of skill as you can expect. One tiny mistake will cost him nothing. One tiny mistake and Linksa blows his head off, Jake blows his head off. Or he just contributes nothing. Like, it takes a lot of effort to get that good. But there's very little traditional weaknesses, nothing to traditional sniper weaknesses, nothing to fight back against except another Widow, in that she can reposition. Do you mean? Which I kind of disagree. Like, she can still be hunted down, she can still be chased down. There are definitely heroes mobile enough to pressure out Widows. The die is stacked in the favor of traces of Genjis, unless the Widow is exceptionally good. Oh, I will say the biggest buff to Widow is that you can't just go like 4 tanks anymore, and suddenly you don't care. Player skills are consistent and Widow often wins because he churns out 300 damage. Widow to deal 300 damage has to hit this thing, like... She has to hit a much smaller target than what a Genji or a Tracer has to hit. And I would say it is only at the very, very, very highest levels that like Widows start consistently beating Genjis and Tracers. Hitboxes are much larger than they should be. Do you want to know the hero with the like most discrepancy between her head hitbox? There's a hint, and her body hitbox, or her head size, her actual head size. It's Widowmaker. Most heroes are actually kind of on point. Zen's pretty up there, actually, yeah. It's not super far off, though, but Widow's got the biggest head. I think the issue with Zen is more that he's just so static in how he moves and floats. Nothing unusual happening here. Like, this is kind of more old school, pretty standard stuff. Mercy to support the snipers. Hog Risa pressuring out, and then you got the Hanzo contesting one side to try and open up opportunities for the Widow to move around the other, just to set up a crossfire. Let me put it this way. I respect Soon a lot more playing Widow than I would if he was playing McCree, for example. Because McCree, it's just, there is so little penalty at the moment for missing, whereas Widow is so heavily front-loaded that you have to get that first shot right, and if you do, then she has massive advantages and she's very strong. If you don't, then you're fucked. And I think especially as someone who doesn't play in pro level games, who plays on ladder, I appreciate if we are in a Widow meta, then yes, it can feel like the Widowmakers dictate everything, which is kind of shitty and unfair in some ways, but it's also like, oh, well, if someone puts in the time, energy, and effort to get very, very good on Widow, they are rewarded for it with wins. And I think that is lacking somewhat at times. And it's also easy to like look at this and just go, oh my god, he's destroying everyone. He's got Infrasight up and he's got his team pressuring the low ground, pushing people into his sight lines. Like, they're all occupied finding something else. And so he just cleans up. Kind of miss McCree. Play some free-for-all. I spent most of this afternoon playing a bunch of free-for-alls. I played several as Ashe, several as Widow, several as McCree. I won every single one I played as McCree with about 6 or 7 kills to spare. And then the Ashe and Widow ones were very, very, very mixed. McCree is ridiculous at this point. You just have no penalty for missing. At all. You see someone, you hold left mouse button, and maybe you win. Good luck, Cruz. Cruz loves doing this. Also, that's a bold res by Boink. What? Like, I'm not sure about the Transcendence as well, but hey. Why do other heroes not get the same level of domination of fights with equal display of skills? Why aren't teams busting up Genji's Traces or Doomfists? Doomfists will destroy most Widows, but most Widows can stay far back. Genjis and Tracers can absolutely do it on ladder. Genji's more so than Tracer just because of high ground. And I would argue that a good Tracer can take over just as much as a good Widow, if not more. Widow Tracer is a consistent problem is that they are far too heavily rewarded once you get to a certain skill floor. But that skill floor takes so much goddamn effort and energy to work on. Like, to me, it's like you put in a lot of hard work to develop these skills, and then you get rewarded for it. And if you don't, you are completely dead weight. The skill floor isn't that high, to be honest. Tracer doesn't have a positive win rate until Grandmaster, I believe. And, like, that's been true for pretty much forever. I think Widowmaker is the same. So, it looks like Paris are going back for the Baptise break, which I like. Might be a little bit too late for it, though. They could try and do something very similar, though, using the Roadhog. They might not have enough time. Wrecking Ball purely to try and contest the point. Yeah. Only a shot you could make with Infrasight. Do you feel like most of the time a very highly skilled player with the same level of Widow and Tracer will get way more out of a Widow than a Tracer? I am not 100% sure I would agree on that. Like, across all levels, I kind of... no. At pro level, yes. At high level, yes. Across all levels, no. Just because I think there's a certain, like, bottom floor to Widowmaker, and if you are beneath that, you are just missing shots all day. You are the Widowmaker on your, you know, the stereotypical, oh, this is the Widow on my team, and the Widow on their team hits every shot, and the Widow on my team is busy sniffing glue in spawn. That effect can very much happen. Looks like Houston changing things up a little bit. They have gone Jake on the Genji. Considering Paris have the Zen, it's actually not too bad for Paris. Like if they had an Ana, I'd be more worried. Shadowburn in trouble here, has to be careful. Ooh! Beauty of an anti-heal, but hey, res is a thing. There we go. I feel like Widow relies a lot more on their team than a Tracer, and that's just a feeling. I would agree with that as well. Okay. So Houston are kind of getting near where they need to be to win this, but they need to pressure Grey out somehow. Or just kill Grey. That would also do it. Crew's going in. Ah, he backed out. Well. That was a lot just for Shadowburn, though. I don't think you needed the old nano roo there. And honestly, just to like wrap up the whole Widowmaker thing, my closing thought is this: there are enough mechanics in Overwatch that just reward mindlessly pressing a cooldown that I do not begrudge the fact that there are heroes with massive rewards for just being able to actually do things. I think the more Overwatch pushes towards that, and I don't disagree with the idea that other heroes should also be heavily rewarded for playing skillfully, but it's more, I don't think Widowmaker should be punished for being high skill capped. But more that we shouldn't have a prevalence of heroes that can just hit in a vague cone-shaped area and get out of jail free. And get kills for that. Or throw a flashbang and get kills for that. Or spam infinite grenades around corners and get kills for that. Or even like Ashe Dynamite. Hit someone once and then land the dynamite and get kills for that. I find that very, very tiresome very, very quickly. Far more tiresome than, oh, that guy's really good and he won the game playing Widow. Because that guy is really good. She's lenient compared to other sniper designs. Other snipers do not have to deal with Winston existing or Genji existing. Like, when you say other snipers, are you referring to TF2? Are you referring to I don't know, Black Ops? Are you referring to Battlefield? You know what the TF2 sniper can do that's really sweet is he can throw a Jurati on the floor and then one-shot people. That's pretty cool. Imagine if Widowmaker had a melee one-shot, that would be great. Whoop! Really nice by Fincy. And like, what's interesting to me here is they go for it. Grey almost gets him. The deflect comes out early and Fincy just realizes, oh, he's deflected. Yeah, this is free. I like the fact that Fincy waited. Like, that to me is the cool part of this play. Is that Fincy waits. TF2 Sniper also has a longer charge time. Red dot sights that appear. The red dot is not a major factor. He also doesn't have tracer rounds. You just hear the shot. It's generally enough for you to figure out what's going on, but... Whew. This is where the Genji starts struggling a little bit. Doesn't have his ult for a little while, although they've actually like pushed them all into a corner. If you can get this blade, they can keep it going. Oh, the sleep dart. Oh, Cruz is still alive somehow. There we go. Jake is on 1 hit point. Ash gun is basically what I think a Widow gun should be. If Widow's rifle were like Ash, especially with damage drop-off, I can tell you exactly how Widow would be played forever. Which is, you fire a headshot and then Winston jumps you and then you return to spawn and swap to McCree. Oh, the Orisa launch. But I also think people argue a lot about the theoretical Widow that, like, oh, if Soon is in my game, then Soon will win the game. Because he can hit every headshot. And I don't think those Widows exist outside of Grandmaster. And don't get me wrong, I'm fine with balancing around the highest level, but I think that people like overestimate how powerful Widow is on lower levels when a lot of the time it's just playing around barriers. Or just sending a Winston, or just sending a Genji on the flank, and that's going to be enough. Gets the nano late. Holy sh! Paris are controlling these Dragon Blades so well. Like, considering they don't have a Lucio as well. I mean, Jake kind of flubs it at the start as well, like being away from his Ana. How did Jake fuck that up? It's because he has to use both dashes to engage. That's how he fucked it up. He doesn't have a dash. Jake got nano too late. Yeah, he would have killed if he got nano earlier. Grey would be dead, and then he'd have a charge, and then he could go and kill everybody else. Which I think is just... like, it's a mixture of Jake and Raucus. I mean, Raucus can apparently still nano in here. Like, he should just be mashing Q. Maybe that's just a visual issue, but apparently you can still nano. Like, there is still a little bit of leeway on it. It just seems to be Houston's problem of, like, it's weird because they clearly know what they want to do. They clearly have, like, a strategy and they're clearly executing. But it's just like they're jumping the gun slightly. Like, they come into this and they go, okay, we'll nanoblade and dive grey. Like, that's the plan. That's kind of all you can do. And so it's like, okay, let's start pushing. Okay, I'm going. And then it's like, Rox is just like, dude, wait, I can't see you. And then the crucial hit that needed to work doesn't work, and then, yeah. GG. Oop. Like, pushing into Blizzard is always a nightmare, especially in the last 20 seconds. It made me laugh when people, like, I've seen some people, like, ask this as well, especially on, like, the unit loss stuff, because there was a clip, I think it was Emong's clip, of, like, a Sigma in overtime, using his ult on the payload, and then it lifted everybody off it, and they just won them the game, because everyone was lifted off the payload. And there's people asking, like, oh, is that overpowered? That he can just ult and win you the game in overtime? Is that fair? And it's like, well, you know, you can fortify, and Zarya Bubble can maybe protect you from it. Maybe there's ways of, you know, avoiding the AoE and then getting back to the point. There might be ways of dealing with it. My first thought was always like, well, what about, like, there's a lot of good ultimates good in overtime. Blizzard is one of them. Whole Hog is another pretty good one. Diva Bomb is another good one. Don't get me wrong, I would not be against Blizzard, like, making it so that it doesn't, like, somehow it doesn't ruin overtime. Just because I think it is a little bit boring if it's just like, oh, well, we have a Sigma and they're in overtime. Okay, Sigma ult the point, we win. Like, that's reductive and boring. But what would be, I don't know, it just feels like people panicking of, like, they see this one clip that's really cool of, like, a single situation and they go, oh my god, this is broken. And it's like, well, Dragon Strike exists, Blizzard exists, Barrage is still pretty good, clearing points. They may need to tune the height of his ult, yeah, maybe. Right, that's not the only one we're going to do, because there is another series in this one, in this bundle. So Gladiators versus NYXL went very similarly, I would say, overall. So I'm going to skip it, because it was very, very similar in structure to how it worked. So I'm going to bring this up. Also say, YouTube, sod off. I'm going to do another VOD very quickly. I'm actually just going to, like, go to the intermission screen, but still be talking. Just so when I'm editing the VOD, I know what to find. Go watch the next video, YouTube, if you're watching this. I'll do this as a separate video. Alright. Nice. I'm pretty sure that's long enough.